That's Chet Simon on Radio 2000 and Seeing Stars, 20 minutes to 1 o'clock. Now, I did tell you a little earlier about a little story on how here on the show we came across One Young World. I think it was around the time after the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon declared this as the International Year of the Youth. We spoke to a young ambassador who was also in the studio, one of One World ambassadors, and what they are working on as young leaders to change the world for the better. Today I have the pleasure of welcoming to the studio founder of One Young World, Kate Robinson, to chat to us about the vision of One Young World. Kate, good afternoon. Welcome to Radio 2000. Nice to have you.
Hi, thank you. Wonderful to be here.
In your own words, we did speak to the young, talented young leader, Mr. Mpofu here, was in the studio. But who is Kate Robinson? Robertson, rather.
In my day job, I'm the UK Group Chairman of EuroRSCG, which is the Havas companies in the UK, which is 12 companies. So we're the third biggest group over there in advertising and marketing. But my life has been completely taken over now by One Young World. And that for me, I think, is important as a South African, because South Africa has yielded up in Mandela and Tutu, two of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen. And I'm concerned as a business leader myself at developing leadership, but particularly among young people. And I'm really interested to see if we can find and identify young leaders at the start of their leadership careers. And I think that Africa will produce more great leaders, but Africa needs great leaders. So it's become, for me, I think One Young World's become kind of like an all-encompassing religion.
And One Young World, the broader vision and what led to the establishment of One Young World.
One Young World is really born out of some frustration with existing, if you like, talking shops. I mean, things like, for example, the World Economic Forum, which is wonderful, but has people like me in it who are short-termists, you know, business leaders looking after quarterly results, government leaders trying to get themselves re-elected or cling on to power. We're not taking decisions for the long term and decisions that are going to make the world a better place. So my thought was, which is a maverick sort of thought, if you got young leaders together and got them together now and made a media platform so that government leaders and business leaders, incumbent leaders, would listen to them and listen to them now and apply their power to things young leaders want, would we fix anything? Because at the moment, we're not really fixing anything. But that was really the initial concept.
And since you started One Young World, what would you say are some of the highlights that make you feel warm and proud at this point?
I think the thing that we hoped but we couldn't predict was that the delegates who would attend the initial summit would turn into the ambassadors they've become, and that they would achieve things like taking their missing Millennium Development Goal for interfaith dialogue to the United Nations, that Sizwe here, who you interviewed before, would set up his African Youth Leadership Summit, which he's just held in Cape Town, inspired by One Young World. Who could have said that you could gather young people, and they are really very young, together, and they would set off and create social businesses, their own charities, their own projects, and go into corporates, big corporates like Unilever, like American Express, and those global CEOs of those companies would allow those young people to start to change those companies from the inside. It's more than warm. I think it's miraculous. It's remarkable.
And the big dream. I mean, you speak about young guys being taken into big corporates and being nurtured, if you will. But the big dreams that you have for the youngsters. I know we can't say it enough to encourage others to get on board and support you.
The dream, really, for me, and it will come to pass, is over the next 5 years, One Young World will become as important to government leaders and business leaders as something like the World Economic Forum. All that we could dream of is that government leaders and business leaders listen to these young people. They're a generation unlike any other. My generation here in Johannesburg, you know, we could never even protest because all you could do is walk down the road and get yourself arrested. This generation can do and say as they please on the social media networks. So I know that they have a chance to become that important. I just want them to be heard.
And when is the next, Kate, One Young World event, and what is it going to entail?
It's in September next year. It's in Switzerland. Muhammad Yunus and Bob Geldof will be back leading the councillors. Mo Ibrahim will be there as well. We'll be announcing other councillors over the next coming months. But this time we've got to get, instead of 114 countries, 194 countries. It'll be 1,600 people. And also what I did want to tell you is we've had official notification from SA Tourism that South Africa will be bidding for the 2012 summit. And obviously it's very dear to my heart. So maybe we'll see a One Young World here in 2012, but if not 2012, soon thereafter.
I know we spoke to Sizwe Mpofu-Walsh a little earlier, and that's how we came across One Young World. And
so proud of him.
He's in the studio. If you could just come closer to the microphone. And just a few words of encouragement. We've got matriculants writing exams under trying circumstances that we just come out of. What would be your words of encouragement?
Oh, absolutely. I think South Africa, and particularly South Africa's youth, have always shown our resilience. And I think particularly in this trying time. I'm actually also writing exams in a week, and I've got my economics textbook with me here. So 3 words to all of them: learn, build, and grow.
Learn, build, and grow. Indeed, and you are a shining example, Sizwe Mpofu-Walsh. Yeah, good to see you in person again, and we wish you all the best. Kate, wonderful work, and I'm sure we'll be in touch all the time. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time and encouragement. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Inspiring discussion we're having in the studio. Kate Robertson is the founder of One Young World, nurturing young leaders of tomorrow, something to be proud of. 14 minutes to 1 o'clock. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at midday business.
It's your right to know how